go home every day weekend just to see the kids every day.
Yeah. Run into Warren Buffett, maybe? Gets us back to...
You know, the thing about it, they always said, you would think that his home is this extravagant thing.
Yeah. I know. He's like the same one who's been in since like the 40s, right? Yeah. That's wild.
Normal residential area.
Yeah, yeah.
Good transition. Everybody out here is so great.
Yeah.
Hopeful, right?
Yeah. No, everyone's very friendly out here. That's a friendly place. Everyone's really easy to work with here from my experience, so that makes it easier.
Very happy. I'm not a big cat.
Filling out everything. I feel like they only do that. It's like everything official is on right here.
Electronic signature,
Yeah. Yeah.
used to have to worry about sending those things.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like it's nice to have that visual, you know, when they sign the white thing, but at the same time, like when you shoot it, a lot of times you're getting like a close-up shot of it, and you can tell that it's a blank sheet.
It's almost like just you get some type of picture, some type of
printing on it. Yeah. It's something on it. But yeah. It's very
Love this community. Someone that was going to align with what we're about here at Black Hills State. And I understand, like, my whole thing with this position is, you know, understanding the why. One of the non-negotiables for me is understanding someone's why. And I think I know Coach Kruger wants his goals to win, but that's not ultimately what he's trying to do. He's trying to create amazing young women, and he's teaching these kids life through the game of basketball. And how do I know that? Well, probably the most significant time of my life is when I was able to work under Coach a few years ago. He taught me what it meant to have culture, to have a system, and to really do it the right way. What discipline meant, what sacrifice meant. And those are things that I carried with me when I was coaching the basketball team. And the thing is Coach molded me into something that was favorable for this community. And for me, I'm always so thankful to him. He's been a mentor for many years. And there's nothing more that gives me more joy and more excitement and makes me proud. This is surreal for me to introduce the next women's basketball coach, Coach Kelly Kruger.
It's an opportunity of a lifetime, I believe. I just think, like, you know, it's been kind of a whirlwind the last month in our life, my family's life, and everything. Truly been blessed. You know, I've been blessed over about 45 years, I guess, being involved in athletics from 1981 to now, in very, very different capacities had the opportunity to work with a lot of great people and have them make an impact on my life. I got to thank the Lord for this opportunity, because it's a God thing. It's just like, wow, you know, opportunity that people, he presents people in your life, like Coach Norrie. He said a few years ago, I wish it was just a few years ago. It's almost like a lifetime ago. but it's really been, I mean, getting here has been just an opportunity of a lifetime. It really has been. I don't know if you know, but my wife and I just built a home in Bennington, Nebraska, which is close to Omaha, right there. And we moved June 24th and 25th. We moved out of Rock Valley, Iowa, and we moved in on the 25th. And, you know, doing the AAU thing yet, doing my mentoring thing yet, with consulting with a couple of programs. And then all of a sudden, Coach called about this opportunity, and it was like, wow. And then I presented to my wife, and then her eyes almost popped out of her head. Like, we just built this place. But Patty knows how passionate I am about it. Like, what he said about doing this for free, it really is true. But it's true, because she told my kids that. She told her family that. She said, you know, she was a principal for 11 years and in education for almost 40. My son been coaching, and now he's an assistant superintendent. My daughter was a coach, and now she works for Medical Solutions. And my other daughter's been doing things. Now she's going to be a special ed teacher. But she said, you know, we wouldn't do that for nothing. Your dad would have always coached for nothing, just because of the experience of getting to work with young people and making an impact on their lives and that type of thing. So it's really true what he said about the idea that I'm here, if you keep score, you're trying to win, right? I always tell kids that. If you're keeping score, you're trying to win. But the most important thing is trying to make an impact in their life. And I think that's really true. Coming here, I understand the tradition of women's basketball here for many, many years at Black Hill State. I take that seriously. You know, they continue to perform at an excellent level, a high excellent level. Coach has done that here. He set the culture. Yesterday we were talking about budgets, and I think I brought up a joke about, well, we're going to change the culture. He goes, do you think you need to change the culture? And I just laughed, because no, it's just that, no, we just got to continue the culture of excellence here at Black Hill State. I will say one thing about family. It is true about this place is a family. Everybody here, unless you're all fake, hey, you've been overwhelmingly just awesome, helping me with stuff. Everything from Coach Schwarzman to everybody on campus, off campus, with everything that we needed. And when my wife and I moved in, how everybody was helpful that way, even in an apartment, that type of thing. So it's been truly a blessing, and I feel really blessed to be here. So with that, I'm open for anything and anything.
How would you describe your overall coaching philosophy?
Okay, so I think it always evolves. Coach Meyer said one time to me years ago, you want to coach now the way you want to coach 10 years from now. And I wish I would have learned that a little bit earlier. Like, I was really hard and demanding and got after kids pretty good about things. I think I matured a little bit with that, as far as you can be as demanding as you want, but you don't need to get on kids as much. As far as things, you can have expectations and those kind of things. I think the other thing is that academics have always been really important to me, even though I wasn't a great student. I mean, so I always tell kids this, like, academically, like, you can't fake me with anything, because I did those years ago, that stuff. So you need to be more like I wasn't as a student. And I think academics are important. I think developing young women, young people, is really important as well, like I said earlier. But I think that, you know, on the floor, we're going to try to be hard to score on. I think we're going to be fundamentally sound. That's a huge thing with me, be fundamentally sound. And then offensively, we're going to try to be like, you know, run a little bit of emotion offense, organize chaos, and that type of stuff. But I think my overall coaching philosophy would be like, hey, we're here to help make people better people. So.
Coach Kruger, Clayton Davis, KHJ Radio. First of all, welcome back to the RMAC conference. Understood that you also coached at Adams State as well. Say in between, I know it's been a while since you've been back in the RMAC conference. What have been the biggest changes to the conference that you've seen from a basketball standpoint, and what are you going to try to do as far as adapting your style of coaching to the league now?
Well, I think the biggest thing is one of the things is the addition and elimination of some of the schools, like Western New Mexico's not in it now. Westminster, you say that right, is in Salt Lake, that type of, and then coaches. I think Coach Horseman asked me that the other day or yesterday about what coaches are in the league yet when I was there, and I think there's maybe three coaches that I coached against way back when I was in the RMAC that are still there. I think the one thing also is that we play Thursday, Saturdays on the trips. Back in the day, it was Friday, Saturdays. And some of those trips were like, you play a game, you jump in a bus, and you drive another 4.5 hours, and then you get in late, and you're trying to play the next day. So I think maybe the day in between is going to be a good thing for the kids' overall experience, that type of thing. As far as anything else pertaining to that, that would be the three major things. But as far as our style of play is that I think that we can create a lot of problems for people, how we're going to do things on both ends of the floor. At least we like to think so. I think, as far as, I know the game now there's a lot of on-the-ball screen stuff, more so than there has been in the past, even when I coached 6 years ago, that type of thing. But we'll try to do more off-the-ball type of stuff, those type of things. So.
Then what kinds of things would you like for the team to accomplish during this upcoming season?
Well, I think the number one thing overall is come together. There's a lot of newness, not with me and then with Coach Shoresman, and I think with Coach Mia, who's coming in as our second assistant, and then with the players and transfers and freshmen coming in. I think number one, come together, and then become really good teammates. I guess come from being good teammates to being great teammates. I think that's really important. We're going to really challenge our kids to develop that way. Because I think if those things, if we can come together and be as one, and then even grow as teammates, become better teammates, become great teammates, then I think a lot of that's going to help us throughout the season. Because it's a grind, it's a grind. I mean, you talk about, off-season workouts, things that they're doing right now that they've been sent to do, the previous staff. And then now with this fall coming up with workouts in the season, it's a long haul. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. There'll be a sprint at the end, hopefully with postseason and everything, but it's a marathon. So I think those two things are going to be really important. Come together as one, and then really develop as teammates. Now, like I said earlier too, I think every game we're going to play, they're going to keep score, right? Okay. Well, we're going to try to win as many as we can. I had a couple kids in contact with the kids. A couple kids texted me back or said to me, Coach, do you see this as a rebuilding season? And I said, no, I'm never seeing any season as a rebuilding season. I think if kids really pull together, and if we have one goal in mind as far as what we want to get accomplished on both ends of the floor, I think then you see where it goes. I had that at Southwest between Coach Norrie's first and second year. We went 25-5 back in 01, and we lost a great senior class. We lost a player of the year, another all-conference player, another senior, another role player senior, and we had mass exodus of kids as far as graduation. So we had a lot of newness too. We brought some junior college kids in, we brought some freshmen in, so there was some newness. So I think this season can be like that, where we had to come together, and then become great teammates. And then that's the year that we end up going to the Sweet 16. So I think I think this season can duplicate, hopefully would duplicate something like that. That's a goal of ours.
Coach, you're inheriting a team that just lost 4 of their 5 starters the previous year. So as far as what's your strategy or what's your plan when you start practices to find those new players to step into roles that are left by the likes of Hammerbeck and Weathersby and whatnot?
Yeah, to me, that's kind of the fun part of it too. I mean, I think new kids, I think new opportunities are presented for everybody. You know, some of the kids coming back may not like their role last year. Maybe they feel like, hey, I should have played more, not played more, whatever it may be. You know, that type of thing, and the new kids coming in. So I think what's fun about it is seeing who's going to step up. You know, because there were some major graduations lost, that type of thing. But I think we've got a good nucleus coming back, and I think there's been some good recruiting done, some transfers coming in, and some kids with experience as well from different programs. So one of the fun parts about it is, like I said, is that opportunity to see who's the cream's going to rise to the top. I think what we're going to try to do, and Coach Schwartzman and I talked about that, I'm looking forward to seeing the healthy competition within the team. You know, let the cream rise to the top. So the kids, we established that right away this fall with some of the things we're doing. I think we can see like some kids are going to really rise and grab a hold of that new opportunity, that new role, and be a superstar in it. Not everybody can be a superstar. You know, I certainly was. Why I played in college football was because there was an influx of good talent at running back. Okay, I played because they had to play. Right? Basically, okay. So not everybody. So, but what I did do is I tried to be a superstar in my role. I tried to eliminate the amount of mental mistakes that a player should make. Tried to always give great effort. So I don't think everybody can be a superstar or be the star, but I think everybody can be a superstar in their role if they really buy into their role. So that's us as a staff. We have to establish some roles and say, hey, if you really want to play, then you got to play to your role. And I think in my conversations with the kids, the vast majority, especially the returners and the kids coming in that have played a little bit, they understand that. They understand that, hey, playing to a role and accepting a role is really important. So I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of excited to see who's going to really step up and do that.
Then how do you see your past experience helping to prepare you for this next stage in your coaching career?
Well, I think that I think you look back and say, like, hey, what would I have done differently? We talked about that too a little bit, Adam and I did. Like years ago, I used to say, like, you know, I see you as this kind of player. Okay, I really think that you should be like a really good post player, that type of thing. You got the body for it, you got the physique, you got all that type of stuff. But they didn't have it in here. So she was a good player, but maybe I should have played her a different way. That's the first thing. So I'm not going to try to stick a square peg in a round hole. And that's what our evaluation period will be like this fall, to see how kids can adapt to what we're trying to make it do. And then play to their strengths. And try to pigeonhole a kid into a spot or two. Just say, hey, what strengths does she have as a player? Play it to her strengths. And then stay away from her weaknesses. I think the other thing is, like winning is really important, like we just talked about a little bit, but I also thought about the total more development of having, making it more enjoyable in some ways. You know, less is more. Maybe some days you take a day off from practice or you cut it short. Even though you're supposed to go 2 hours, you cut it a little bit short just because, hey, you get a feel for the kids that maybe they're a little fatigued. And we do something a little bit more different. I mean, even at Iowa Central, after some fall workouts, after some conditioning, we went to the Dairy Queen and we were blowing ice cream. You know, it's just something a little different, you know, make it a little bit a better experience for them and that type of thing. So I think those are things that I've learned in the past. Because years ago, like I'm really, like to me, it's like, you know, the amount of hours, it's like, you know, watch film, practice, watch film, all that stuff, right? Well, there's a limit to that. And especially with the kids, you know. So I think what you try to do is just make it a better overall experience for them.
Coach, throughout your coaching career, you said you've coached for a while now, going on now your 35th season being a collegiate head coach. Where have you seen the game of basketball, especially on the women's side, just kind of change over your years of coaching? And how will that knowledge of the game changing, how will you adapt that into this year's team?
That's good, because when I started coaching women's basketball back in 1981, there was no over and back. You could get the ball in the lane in 3 seconds and start over. So I was like, I tell people that, like, what? It's the truth, you know. and the level of play has changed, even in the last 10 years. I think the level of play, I think the opportunity for kids to get out and get more skill work in and play at, the AAU circuit and that type of thing, which is not, I think it's good, but it's not maybe always a positive thing if it's not done the right way as far as that stuff. But I think like the skill level has really gotten better. I think kids have a better IQ now. I think more women are starting to watch more basketball all the time too, so they see more, so they understand more. And that's big with our system. Basketball IQ is big because we teach kids how to play, read the defense, see what's up, that type of thing, and allow some decision making on their part. Not big on sets, even though there's been times in my career where we ran more sets, but we just try to teach them how to be a better player, teach them how to approach situations, and you kind of turn it loose, you let the horses run with that. So, but I think those are the major things. I think the biggest thing is skill level. Kids are just getting better as players. Nobody from this side?
What day are you bringing kids ice cream?
We bring them ice cream, we'll let you know. But you do have to tell us. I don't want any complaints though. So if we run out of chocolate and your chocolate, you have to go with vanilla. Anybody else? Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your assistant?
Adam? Yeah. Okay, okay, so. Tuesday is the first time I ever met Adam face to face. But he and I had maybe 12 conversations on the phone in the previous year. Because so we have a mutual friend, Lily Brown, I was supposed to tell you this, played for me.
I know that.
You knew that? Okay. She said, I don't know if you knew that, Kevin knew that or not. But anyway, so he knows Lily, I know Lily, and then when he got the job at Wayne State last year, and she tied us together, so we talked quite a bit, and then in the spring and that type of stuff, and all those type of things. So I knew what kind of guy he was. I knew he was a character guy. And his father-in-law played college football with me at Northwestern, Terry Fitzgerald. So I knew that his wife came from quality people. So if she married him, he must have been a quality person. So. And if Terry hasn't put him in a headlock and that type of thing, so you knew he's a pretty good guy. But so from what I know about him, what we thought, he's a basketball guy. He's a basketball guy. He's a basketball guy. He's a quality person. He's a good character guy. But he's a basketball guy. He's in it for the right reasons. He wants to win just as much as I do, but he knows too that developing kids, people the right way is probably the most important thing. So, but he's a quality person. So, yeah, he's got to live up to that now. So, yeah. And I'm sure he will. Anybody else?
Coach, I do have one question.
Go ahead.
When you get ready to start practices, what's going to be kind of your first message to the team, and also what are you going to go about as far as your first few practices? Is going to be more talent evaluation? Is it going to be fundamentals, X's and O's? What's kind of your strategy when you guys start practices?
Okay, I want to answer all those questions right there. All right? So let me, if I forget.
No worries.
First of all, all in. We got to be all in. I have a thing like our acronym is ACC: attitude, coachability, and competitive spirit. I think that's three things that we're really going to focus on: is attitude, your competitive spirit, and your coachability. Like if you got a bad attitude, if your attitude's not to where it's contagious that people want to be around you, that's not good. Okay? And then I think your competitive spirit. I want kids who really want to compete, no matter what the score is, the situation. Same thing in the weight room. I want them to compete in there. I want them to compete in conditioning. I want competitive kids. Okay? And then thirdly, coachability. I want kids who want to get better, who are coachable. Sometimes that's a little hard because sometimes kids think that they're good enough. Well, even your best players can get better, so you're always trying to help your best kids get better. But I think you got to be all in, and then you got the ACC. The other thing is, sometimes people will say, well, once he gets his kids in, well, these are my kids. You know, you just inherited a great group of young women, so it's not like you got to get your kids in. No, you've got a team right there that can be pretty good if we do things the right way. Okay, got a chance to have some fun, is what I would say. Do something, be successful. So it's us coming together, like we said earlier, all those kind of things. Then I think evaluation, like you're always evaluating. Like this fall, the conditioning and in the weight room, and then when we get together with skill work and whatever team things we do on and off the floor, you're always evaluating what's going on. And you're always evaluating them, and then you're starting to also put the pieces of the puzzle together. Like this lineup would be good together, we can make this lineup be good together, get these kids in, that type of thing. And then fundamentals, huge. You know, we're going to do a lot of skill work in the fall. I think basketball is a skill game. So if you can get better at shooting, passing, and dribbling basketball, then your offense is going to be better. So the best teams I ever had were really fundamentally sound. And kids didn't care about who scored, just as long as we scored. You know, so it's a we thing too. So we'll really try to work on that as much as possible. Like, hey, it's about us. Us is a must. You know, that type of thing. And then, so the first few practices will probably just be a carryover of what we're doing in the fall. They will be exposed to a lot of what we do in the fall, in our skill work, and in our team work in the fall. So when official practice starts, whenever that day is, okay, I think that's around October 10th or something like that, there's not going to be a lot of things that will be new to them. Those first couple of practices, we'll just carry right in, and then as the practice goes, of course, then we're going to introduce, this or that a little bit differently on both ends of the floor. So hopefully I got all of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else? All right. Well, I'm excited to be here, and thank you for the welcome. And if you need anything, you know where my office is. Come on and see me, and look forward to putting the team out there for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, thank you guys so much for coming. Thanks for everyone that watched online. And Coach Thorson will be available for one-on-one interviews for anyone in here that wants to get a one-on-one interview. And so will Coach Kruger and Coach as well. So they'll both be available, so just go ahead, ask me questions, we'll be around. So thank you guys so much for coming.